morning, New Orleans, and welcome to the morning show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and with me today is Ashley Shelton.
Good morning. Good morning.
The powerful and influential leader of the Power Coalition and so many other things.
Yeah. Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Woman about town and another town and another town and a city here and there and getting here and there and taking care of business.
Yeah. Now we're trying to make some things happen.
Absolutely. Well, we sure need some things to happen for sure. I picked up my newspaper outside my door just the other day.
I'm reading it right here.
Yeah, and it was heavy.
Yeah.
It was like I was picking up a Thanksgiving paper, which has lots of ads, or
You're
a
right.
Christmas paper, and I was like, what is all this?
Right.
And in my newspaper, of course, I live in Orleans Parish,
Mm-hmm.
there were 8 sections of inactive voters
Mm-hmm.
in tiny print.
Yeah.
Now, they haven't been purged,
They have not yet been purged.
but 8 full sections of inactive voters?
Yeah. And New Orleans has one of the parishes with the largest unregistered Black voters too. So you have you have two problems. You've got inactive voters who are who may be threatened with being pushed off the rolls. And then you've got, several thousand voters too that are unregistered. And so there are two things that we're always fighting at Power
Right.
Coalition. Is like, how do we make sure that we keep people engaged? And then also too, the other hard, now here's the thing. I always tell folks, I said, there's so many elections in Louisiana. You should be able to not get on the inactive list because it feels
Right.
like there's an election every
All right.
second
We
Saturday.
want you to vote in every single one. But,
Yes.
But if you could do every other, because
Yeah.
we have enough.
We have enough. And in New Orleans in particular, I mean,
Right.
it's like you've got so many folks that are moving up or moving into different offices.
Yep.
You've always got that going on. There's a judge's race. It feels like literally every second Saturday.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I mean, and that's just in Orleans. And so I want to be clear with our WBOK family of listeners. There are 8 sections with all those names in. I think it might be like an 8-point font.
Fine, right.
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 It's like these are tiny print. And that's a lot of people, thousands and thousands and
Yeah,
thousands
it
of
is.
people.
It is.
But that's not the Black report.
Yeah.
So there are all kinds of inactive voters.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to our folk, you want to look in there and see if your cousin, your daughter, who told you they were voting, or
Exactly.
on the inactive list. I talked to somebody just yesterday.
Name in the
And
newspaper.
I'm not even going to put them out there because the good thing is,
Right.
sister has six kids,
Mm-hmm.
all of them registered to vote, except for one,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't know that one was. So now she knows,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then take some action.
Well,
to
let me tell you something.
care of
If you want to know if your kids are registered or anybody, you can call Power. We have the voter file. And so I can tell you the voter file tells me exactly what the paper says. It tells me how many times you voted in the last, several elections. It tells me a lot about, like how many people live in your household. I have a lot of information now. We're not giving that information out, but we do know who's registered to vote,
Right.
and we do know who actually is engaging in their vote.
Right.
And so we teased for the presidential in 24 that it was just like, mamas are a powerful force. And so I said, if you want to know if your baby is registered and active, call us up. We'll make sure to check the voter file and just let you know what's going on because
Right.
it's public data,
Yeah.
So.
And these are people who registered to vote,
Mm-hmm.
and for one reason or another,
Yeah, don't get back out.
didn't vote enough,
Mm-hmm.
and so now they're on the inactive list.
Yeah.
Another
But, I mean-
step would be purged, but you're not purged yet, but you could be.
Right. No. And it's, and and here's the thing, to be purged, like you have to miss, several federal elections, which means a presidential, right? And I forget the other reason they can put you on this inactive list, but there's but the bar, like there's a lot of steps before you get there. And so
Right.
there's several elections that have been missed to be on the inactive list. But again, we've got a runoff coming up right here in New Orleans and take you right off the list.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you don't have to be in there.
Yep,
You have people looking at your name as a
exactly.
inactive voter,
Yep.
somebody who's not engaged.
Yeah, and and there's so much power that those names on the in the paper. Like one of the things that always makes me so sad is that what I see, I forget the names. Like I just see all the power that's being left on the table. All of the ways in which I know so many of our Black and Brown communities are hurting. Here in the city, but also more broadly in the state, and it's like the only way to fix these things, the only way to change the things happening in your community is to, is to engage and vote. And that's crazy too, considering that we just had, city council, mayoral and
Right.
city council races
Right.
too.
Right. Right. And I mean, we had a good number of people vote, but we can have more people vote.
But yeah, we can,
And so
and they
often,
should.
if more people vote, and if those people are behind a certain bond measure or
Hmm.
constitutional amendment, or not behind it, March
Right.
29th,
Yep.
then it does make a difference. So it's not like one vote doesn't matter. It really does.
Right.
But when you say one vote doesn't matter, and you see 8 sections of inactive
Right.
voters,
Right.
tell me why that doesn't matter.
No, exactly,
You know?
exactly, and and I think too that like, and what's crazy is that I remind people all the time: the closer the election is to your address, meaning your mayor, your city council, the more power they have over your everyday life. Right? They are deciding. They're deciding so many things. Like again, are your kids safe at school? Are you safe on the roads? Like they're deciding so many things that are so critical to our everyday experience. And so you gotta, get involved in those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's so much information, Power Coalition, Vote, so many of our partners, sample ballots, all the things to kind of take all the, trepidation out
What
of
do I do?
engaging.
Here,
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Yeah, here's
Here's
the
what you
information.
do.
Here's here's
Step one,
exactly what
step
you're gonna
two, step
see.
three,
Right, when you
step
go
four.
when you go to
Here's
the
a deadline.
Yep, here's
Yep,
what you're gonna see when you go to the ballot box. So nobody there's we don't want anybody confused.
yep, yep.
Mhm.
Powerful education piece as you all work on that. So, look, we got a good show for you today. We're going to hear from Zach Smith. Sure, a number of you all remember the hotel controversy over in on Elysian Fields, that 600 block of Elysian Fields. So there was a number of folks in the community who said that a 5-story, 128 room home to suites by Hilton is not the place for that building and business. Even the historic commission said definitely not in sync with the neighborhood.
Mhm.
But the city council said, we overrule you and we're approving the project. So we're going to have Mr. Zach Smith in to talk to us about why they wanted this,
Mhm.
why they pushed so hard for this in that neighborhood, and what's next. I mean, they got the city council approval, but people can file lawsuits.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. I mean,
so
yeah, community can take action. They absolutely can.
absolutely, yep. So we got that, and the Louisiana Democratic Chair Randall Gaines is going to be joining us during the show today.
Yes.
He's going to talk about some things across the state that the Louisiana Democratic Party has, I'll say, been doing and trying to do. He has a special interest in one legislative race in particular, and we're going to break some news this morning. We're going to break some news when Mr. Gaines is in here, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. And, of course, we've got a fiscal crisis going on. It's not going away. Well, David Hammer, investigative reporter with WWL, had a pretty good and incredible report. And I watched it over again, and I was like, he's got to come on the show. So we're going to have David Hammer in the studio to talk with our WBOK family of listeners. And I'm sure all of you want to know, how bad is it? Well, he dug in deep. So he's going to share that with us today. Look, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have more news and information and conversation. I'm Will Sutton, and with me is Ashley Shelton. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. They might like to hear this.
Sure, please call us. We'd love to talk to you. 504-582-9422.
All right, didn't that sound good? All right. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Friday morning, I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. This morning, the New Orleans Fire Department responded to a fire overnight in New Orleans East. Fire officials say it happened on Spring Lake Drive. An OFD was dispatched to the home at 8:50 last night and were able to get it under control by 10:15. The home suffered severe damage, but firefighters were able to limit the damage done to the two neighboring homes. No injuries were reported. The cause of that fire is currently under investigation. 3 New Orleans teachers are accused of child abuse at a local school. The NOPD says the trio are accused of locking a nonverbal child with autism in a closet at Arthur Ashe School. The teachers now face cruelty to juvenile charges. Police say Monette Anglin, Jania Gord, and Patrice Ankar all surrendered or talked to detectives about surrendering. No other details have been released at this time. All right, everybody, the biggest carnival weekend of the year kicks off today with 5 parades rolling today. A big, big, big day on Friday. The crew of Bosom Buddies rolls at 11:30 a.m. through the French Quarter. Then the crew of Hermes rolls at 5:30 along the Uptown route, followed by crew of Tata and crew of Morpheus. And in Slidell, the crew of Celine rolls at 6:30. And also, you can't forget about the big Zulu Ball happening later on tonight. The Zulu Coronation Ball, presented by Delta Utilities, airs tonight at 7 on MeTV, New Orleans, and streaming live on Very Local and WDSU.com. WDSU anchor Gina Swanson, along with Elizabeth Kubel, will be live from the ball. MeTV is channel 6.2 over the air, channel 108 for Cox, and 197 on Comcast. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day and a wonderful carnival.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning, New Orleans. Will Sutton. I'm with Ashley
Good
Shelton.
morning. Good morning.
Happy to have you here. Sister.
Now, happy to be here. Always a good time.
Yeah, so knowledgeable. Got good thoughts, good questions, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of that.
Yeah, we got a big day today. We got a lot of folks.
Yeah, big day. So, of course, we've got Zach Smith coming up in a little bit, talking about the Elysian Fields Hotel, the controversial project that did receive City Council approval. So it's moving forward, and we got Randall Gaines, Louisiana Democratic Party chair. He'll be coming up. We got David Hammer from WWL talking about the fiscal crisis in New Orleans. But let's talk about legislative seat that so many people are paying attention to across the country now. I don't think it's often that we have a state legislative seat that gets this amount of national attention.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing too. Like you again, for special elections, you usually see about 15 to 20% turnout. 27% turnout for that seat. In comparison, just so that we only saw about 15% in New Orleans for the three special elections seats, the three seats that were up for the special election, and then this particular seat in in District 60 that runs around the river is we saw unprecedented turnout. And one of the thing and national attention, and it's like this was a candidate that was not supported by industry. She's actually like the real deal, right? Like she volunteers with the courts and works with inmates who are dealing with addiction and other issues. I mean, she's out here, picking, like she just, she's actually a really, really, wonderful candidate, the kind of folks that you want to see doing, coming into public service because they actually care and they can see the inconsistencies and the injustices in community. But I think the reason that it got so much national attention was that this same district went for President Trump for every time Trump's been on the ballot. And so
All 3 times.
Oh, yeah. But I will say this. I mean, this particular seat has been a Democratic seat for many, many, many years. And so, and so some folks want to downplay it. But I do think that we saw unprecedented voter turnout for white and black voters. And again, like I said, I mean, it was about 27% turnout. And that is...
that's good.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, for a special
election.
right? For a special, yeah. I mean, in comparison to 2023, what was it, 36 something percent for the whole state in terms of turnout. So, so an important race, a really powerful win for the good guys.
All right, so describe that district a bit. It's along the river, but which parishes or portions of parishes, and whose seat was this?
Yeah, so this was Chad Brown's seat. Chad had been in the legislature for quite some time. He just got a special appointment by the governor, and so that's why he vacated the seat. He was, strong on natural resources, strong on insurance, which we know is a huge issue facing so many of us across the state. And so this, this district, kind of the candidate that won, Chastity Martinez, she lives in Plaquemine. But the district runs, it gets a bunch of river parishes. It's Assumption, and in fact, I can't even give you all the parishes. I can give you all the cities. It's like St. Gabriel.
That's good. I think people know that more.
Right, exactly. Because I was like, wait, let me see. No, but I mean, it's Plaquemine, it's St. Gabriel. So you've got a whole, then you got to cross the river and you pick up a couple of other, Iberville Parish is also included in this district. So a lot of industry. A lot of parishes that run right along the river. And so, pretty rural, but, good folks, right, who care about their communities. And they showed up and showed out. And so, really proud to say that, we didn't do any partisan activity, but on the nonpartisan side, we talked to voters. We knocked doors. We did over 400 doors. Thousands of text messages, over 2,000 phone calls, and
2,000 phone calls.
Yeah,
just in that district.
And then we also had like 4 events on election day, and this is what you have to love about Louisiana. We saw 1,500 people on election day, and we were just giving out crawfish. And I was like, but it's early in the season, and so a lot of folks hadn't seen it, and so I think we got a lot more engagement because folks are like, "Where'd you get crawfish from?"
Yeah.
So,
All
hey,
right.
I'll take it. I'll take it. We know how
Yeah.
to. Hey, Power Coalition knows how to have a good time
Yeah.
and build community, and that's what was so beautiful about all the events was that community was out there. Folks having a good time, folks talking about the area and what they needed and what they hoped this whoever won the race would be able to come and provide. So, so good stuff. And so I think we'll see Chastity probably back on natural resources committee. I think there's probably health and welfare and some other things that are really important to her that we'll see what those committee assignments look like.
Well, she seemed to come out of the blue. Just, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't live over there.
Yeah,
But
she's
it
a
seems
city
like,
council person.
you know,
So
but one term as far as I know.
yeah,
I mean,
but
so it's not like she's been on council
Yeah.
and then some of everybody knows. I remember back when you
right,
did this.
right,
and
right.
So I'm not saying she doesn't have any name recognition. I'm saying it hasn't been long term.
Yeah.
But clearly, the people who have been touched by her in official and unofficial
Yeah.
roles, that was a part of what pushed her over
Absolutely.
the top.
Yeah, no, and I think it's about passion, right? Like when somebody actually cares about your community, shows up, and shows up, and I think that that's the thing that I love about electeds that do that for their communities. I mean, she's everywhere. I don't even know how she has the time to do it. It was like you're, basically running a pretrial diversion program for folks, that are dealing with the criminal justice system and addiction. And then on the other, she's picking up and dealing with stray animals and trying to make sure that all the animals in her community are safe and taken care of. And so I don't know how she does it. She's got kids. She's got all, she's got all the trappings of any mom, any person trying to serve their community. But I think that it is because she is so much of her community that she was able to persevere. And then, certainly there was some rhetoric around, some of the Facebook post of her opponent that had lots of, racial overtones. And I'm being kind. I mean, it was racist, and even though they
Now, were
cleaned,
these his posts?
these
or
were his
people-
posts.
Oh.
These were his posts, and they cleaned it up. They did clean it up,
Mm.
but there were lots of screenshots before it was cleaned up of how he felt, how he feels about Black folks, and there are a lot of Black folks from Plaquemine and St. Gabriel, Assumption Parish, all these places, and so I feel like that also played a factor, that it was just so blatant that her opponent it didn't align with many folks in the communities.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And of course, there's a legislative session coming up. So she won her election just in time to
Hmm.
walk into the March legislative session. And the runoffs that we have in New Orleans, they're not going to be there for the start. They're going to be a little bit behind.
Yeah, March 14th.
Yeah.
And so for all our active voters, you got a chance to go press the button. And so the runoff for the seats that didn't outright win.
Right. District 100 for state rep
Yep.
and state senate seat 3.
Yes. And so those will be on March 14th. And so there's an opportunity once again to go vote. And they're going to have another opportunity in May. And so,
Right.
yeah, so it's
It's
really,
qualifying this week.
yeah,
Today's
exactly.
the last day of qualifying.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so, all right. Okay, look, good conversation, good information. I hope that you all took that in, because we live where we live, work where we work, play where we play. But, you want to pay most attention to your home, your street, your neighborhood. But these legislative districts have amazing power over us. And one by one, if we don't have the best people in those seats, not just here, but elsewhere, some bad things can happen.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
all right, we're going to break at 7:26 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 7:30. I hope you're well on your way and pretty close. maybe pulling into the parking lot so you can get to the break room, warm up some coffee,
Mm-hmm.
get to your desk if that's what you do.
Yep.
Or if you got an appointment, tell the doctor you might be running a little late. Yeah, so they hold your spot for you. And of course, we got the kiddos on the way to school. Be careful. Watch out for those 20 miles per hour speed zones. Keep them safe. Keep you safe. Keep everybody safe.
Yep. You got more time than lives.
All right. WBOK, 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today's forecast similar to yesterday, mostly cloudy skies, a little bit of fog out there as well. And then eventually as we get later into the afternoon, we'll start to see some clearing. Highs today 72 to 76 degrees. We are expecting lows tonight into the 50s, so for parades, things look just fine. For Saturday, there's a chance for a few scattered showers in the afternoon, but the main threat for severe weather happens late Saturday night into very early Sunday. Most of that moves out by Sunday afternoon. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Hey, this is D. Riley from the 90s Hits R&B Jams. Make sure you listen to WBOK 12:30 a.m. every Saturday night from 7 until 9 p.m. I'll be giving you the best R&B jams from the 90s. That's right, all your favorites and more. With me, D. Riley, your host of the 90s Hits, right here on WBOK 12:30 a.m. or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Louisiana's Julia Letlow. What do they have in common? Liberal Julia Letlow voted with Joe Biden more than any other Louisiana Republican in the U.S. House. And just like Nancy Pelosi, Letlow has traded hundreds of stocks while serving in Congress. Worse, Letlow violated federal insider trading laws by failing to report her shady stock trades, potentially millions of dollars worth. But that's not all. Before she went to Congress, liberal Julia Letlow was a university bureaucrat. She instituted radical DEI policies, woke sensitivity training, and the university put up a public art display honoring defund the police activists. Is that what Louisiana wants in the U.S. Senate? Conservatives just can't trust liberal Julia Letlow. Louisiana Freedom Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. LouisianaFreedomFund.org.
Tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon to What's Growing New Orleans. Hosted by Angel Vanderpool, What's Growing New Orleans is a weekly conversation about developing and growing Black businesses throughout the region. Brought to you by the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce.
Experience 2 nights of genre-blending music with the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation's Jazz and Heritage Concert Series, presented by Goldfarb Financial, happening at the George and Joyce Wynn Jazz and Heritage Center in New Orleans. See jazz vocalist Ingrid Lucia and the Good Troublemakers on Friday, January 16th at 8 p.m. Then, on Saturday, the 17th at 8 p.m., catch pianist-composer Lawrence Seabrist at Estralia Banda with special guests Tommy Lowry and Bart Plateau. Expect a thrilling mix of jazz, classical, Afro-Cuban funk, and more. Tickets are $10 and available at jazzandheritage.org.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm Will Sutton. I'm here with the beautiful and talented, the powerful
Good
Ashley
morning.
Shelton.
Good morning.
All right.
Good to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. It is 7:32 a.m., so if you have to be somewhere at 7:30, you're late. You're late. You're late. You're late. I mean, you missed it, so just go ahead, get your stuff together. Head on out. Drive safely because what you like to say?
Yes, you got more time than lives.
Hey.
I like that.
So just make sure you get there. Take care of yourself.
Yep.
Take care of the other people because I know you're not one, but those crazy drivers out there. And you do the right thing. And watch out for the kiddos going to school. School zone speed limits are still in effect until 9 a.m. Please, 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 I ask you to make sure that we don't have some student or school accidents, injuries, or worse today. I would appreciate that. All right, it's 7:33 a.m., and we are jumping into conversation with Jack Smith. And
Welcome.
we're going to be talking about the controversial Elysian Fields Hotel project, 600 block of Elysian Fields. I think it's fair to say that you all felt like you were bringing something good to the neighborhood, and you still do. But some folks feel like it's not the right fit. So, first of all, good morning, Zach.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Ashley and Will. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
So, who are your people in there? Who's your mama in there? Where you come from?
I was born at Baptist Hospital on Napoleon Avenue.
Okay.
Almost 40 years ago this week.
Oh,
So
happy
a
birthday.
native New Orleanian. As you guys love to talk about the the old high school Holy Cross back pre-Katrina
Yes.
in the L9. So just know my way around the city, and then of course a lot of folks know me that I worked in government through a couple of administrations
Okay.
for well over a decade. So I've seen a couple things, I've done a couple things, I've been a couple places.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Here's a short version of the
Right,
resume.
right.
But we love the city, and it's a passion to make projects happen and to see positive change in the city. And you've jumped right into it. You're not always going to make everybody happy, but fundamentally, and something that you're going to hear me probably say a couple times today, is that this city, I hear it, I see it every day from people crying out to see improvement in the city. They want to see change. They want to see improvement. And when we take a blighted, empty property on a very wide piece of property, on a very wide street, Elysian Fields,
Yeah.
and we turn it into something that is compliant with height and compliant with zoning, and it certainly has its detractors, but at the end of the day, this was fundamentally a good project. This is fundamentally a good project, and there is something, just I guess jumping straight into it. This is something where any project in the city of New Orleans can be very hard to do. There are people forget that doing a project without any regulations is hard enough on its own, between funding, between financing, between making sure you can get a program and a project to work and pencil out. And then you start adding on zoning layers, you start adding on historic layers. And in this particular case, we were asked, even after we had already done a lot of outreach and engagement, to make specific concessions to various entities. And this is a large project. It takes up a lot of space. And so there were actually competing requests coming from different people on different street frontages and things of that nature. So this is one of those projects that I think has met the burden of doing the best that it can to make sure that it is a project that's going to be successful, to make sure that this is a project that's going to add value to the city of New Orleans, and that this is a project that is fundamentally going to be something that is going to move the city forward.
Well, it seems that neighbors hated what was there for so long, and they wanted something done. But then when they got an opportunity to have something, it was like, but not that.
Yeah, Will, I think that's a fair way to put it. Again, we see all day. You got people that call into this radio show talking about, again, a need for change. And when somebody finally proposes that change, it's well, here's my not just 2 cents, here's my $10 worth of opinions. And again, we're not in a position where anybody can make everybody happy. We know this in land use. We know this in everything we do in our lives. You get 2 people in a room, and there's going to be conflict. There's going to be difference of opinion. In this particular case, this project worked for years to engage neighbors. This project worked for years to go back and forth with city historic district guidelines. This project worked for years to work with zoning regulations with the City Planning Commission and the City Council. This project went to 2 major hearings with the City Council, both on zoning regulations that fundamentally address the height, and then and that was fundamentally a settled situation about how tall this building can be and how big this building can be. And this really blew up more recently because folks were still not happy about that height, which again was a settled situation last March. And so it was one last kind of bite at the apple to try to bring the project down, and it was unsuccessful. The City Council was very clear. We had already made a decision on this back in 2025, early 2025, and we're going to move forward on this because, again, an empty piece of property in the city of New Orleans that's generating no tax value, that's generating no jobs, that's not providing anything, and it's essentially just a trash heap that, Will, you pointed out very clearly that people have been asking for stuff to be done and for change to be made. Somebody comes along and proposes change, and of course, it's just not perfect. And this is one of those situations we see every day. There's a lot of good in this city that people want to do. It's very, very hard to get to perfect. In many ways, it's impossible. And this is a very good project. This is a very good project, and we certainly are not going to let "quote unquote" perfect be the enemy of good.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next? So you got the vote from the City Council. What's next for the project? How do you guys move forward from here?
So we have we're continuing to move forward. These votes and these approvals essentially gave that bigger conceptual approval to make sure that architects and engineers and the design professionals can start to really refine the project into what people would refer to as construction documents. That's really getting into how is this thing physically built, physically constructed, so that you can get a full set of architectural plans. If you've ever seen a set of architectural plans for like a house, it might be anywhere from like 5 to 15 pages.
Yep.
This set of plans is going to be in the hundreds, sometimes even the thousands of pages. And so now it's the refinement there. And I'll even say this, publicly. This project made a promise to the council when we got the vote the first time, made a promise to the council when we got the vote the second time. We've made promises every time we met with neighbors that we will continue every reasonable effort to refine this. As recently as early this week, we sent in some, we asked the HDLC, the Historic Districts Landmarks Commission. Great folks at HDLC. We don't always agree with them, but they are fundamentally doing a great job, and they're I won't even say fundamentally, they are great people who are working with projects every day. We have asked, and we're hoping to get an audience with them to look at even some continuous improvements and changes that are in the spirit of not only good faith, but in the spirit of bringing this project closer to what some folks had maybe hoped for in the last iteration. This project is not done till it's done. And we want to, we're not sitting on saying, oh, we got a vote. And so, we got the W, you got the L, we go forward, everybody else go home. There's always no project in this city, especially for anybody that's ever been to architecture school. No project's ever finished. There's always room for refinement and improvement. And the ownership and the design team on this project are committed to that.
Okay, so the Historic Commission was very much opposed to this oversized behemoth, just totally out of sync with the neighborhood. Clearly, the City Council had a different point of view. City Council has 7 members. You didn't need all 7 to vote for you, but you did need 4, and you got it. So 5 people voted. 4 voted in favor of moving forward. 1, Oliver Thomas, voted no. And it's my understanding that he was voting with the neighbors and not necessarily saying there shouldn't be improvement with blighted property, but there should be neighborhood done and that the project needs to really be changed? You feel like you've addressed Oliver Thomas's issues?
So I know that Councilman Thomas potentially was going to be in the booth for a radio interview, and we got moved around because of some scheduling. But if he was here, I would say that I genuinely believe that those comments were a little disingenuous. Those comments I kind of identified, and we didn't have a chance to rebut those. We weren't expecting a response from a councilman, especially if that sort of negativity. And the reason for that is in that soundbite, in that sound clip, it talked about how really, hey, there wasn't enough done with neighbors. It does not go into, and we would have been able to go at length about the various meetings with specific neighborhood groups, with specific neighbors, the amount of involvement that we had, the amount of refinement from the first iteration through what was on the screen at the last meeting had tremendous movement and tremendous improvement. So the idea that, hey, this thing hasn't had any sort of neighborhood engagement, again, I got to be respectful, but I also have to be direct in my opinion that I think it was a little bit disingenuous. It was also kind of upsetting because, we have a group and again, they're doing their jobs in many ways, but you use the word behemoth because you used that.
Well, I believe the Historic Commission, I think, if I'm wrong, tell me.
They
but
did. No,
I
they
think
did.
That's one of the words they used.
They did use that word, and it was upsetting to hear that word get used because, and these were my public comments in the city council meeting, is that the HDLC prides itself on adherence to guidelines, and that word behemoth does not exist in those guidelines. There is no word behemoth. There is no text. There is no that was essentially something that was done. I'm going to say not in the best of spirits. That was something done, and we can disagree on a project. We can disagree on whether people like the project. But fundamentally, what I think we have to do in the city of New Orleans is we have to turn around and say, we have to give people the benefit of the doubt. And we also have to say, these are people that are putting their lives and their careers and their pocketbooks at risk to develop property in the city of New Orleans. And using words like behemoth, I think, was a punch below the belt.
Okay. Well, we've got a caller, and it's Mr. Oliver Thomas. He's listening. He was the one vote. Good morning, OT.
Morning.
You're on with Will Sutton and
Good morning,
Ashley Shelton.
Good
And
morning.
Zach, how are you?
Yeah, well, man, if I was any better, Will, I would be you and Ashley, or someone like Zach, who's the premier permit guy, right? Who everybody goes to take advantage of his connections and relationship, and someone that I'll say I have a lot of respect for. The one thing you do, especially when you're a professional, you don't get into people's hearts to determine what's disingenuous or not. And I think the reason why I've always had the relationships that I have is that I don't get into to predict why people are different, why they think differently, and I don't question their character or whether they're genuine or not. Zach said something early that he seemed to move away from when he talked about who was disingenuous. He said we're getting back with the HDLC to see that we can do better and put together the best product. Well, there's an opportunity to do that in the beginning. There's if you're admitting that it can be better, how can you question people's motives if you said in his opening comments that if we can be better, I think we can be better, we want to do that. Well, do that in the beginning. I voted for the initial project. When they came back before the city council, the HDLC, the neighbors, and people talked about proposed changes. Well, that made it a little different from what I initially voted for. So I don't want to get into people's character. That's always used to disparage people, especially politically, and if you're trying to make a point or if you're trying to shine your own halo. But the thing that was obvious to me, based on Mr. Smith's initial comments opening the show, because he said they're working to make it better, well, that could have been done in the beginning.
Well, OT, I have a question about that, but I'm going to let Zach respond.
Well, thanks for joining us, Councilman. And I appreciate the commentary and, to always make sure that we put it in the right context. Again, and I've said later on in the show already, that there is no project that I think ever achieves 100%. Every project has room for continuous improvement. Every individual has room for continuous improvement. And so that is where we're going and where we're coming from. As I pointed out to Ashley and Will, I would have used the same word. I was hoping to have this conversation and expecting to have the same conversation with you, because I wanted to ask the question as to why we were not afforded the opportunity to rebut the comments that were made in the negative to the project. You know, we were given essentially I don't think enough was done for neighborhood engagement, and we were not allowed to respond to that and go point by point over the years of back and forth and explaining the years of how many times we have met with neighbors. And sometimes, as you know, Councilman, sometimes you just cannot make everyone happy. And one of the reasons why the vote has to move forward is the fact that projects do have to move forward. They do have deadlines. They do have funding deadlines. They do have legal deadlines. And so it's important that we do that. So that's the only point. In no way, shape, or form were we talking about, I think, that there was any sort of negative intent. It's just the situation of, I believe that we should have been allowed the ability to kind of respond and refine our points when a comment was made that essentially you felt that we didn't have enough neighborhood engagement. I would stand to correct that and say we had tremendous amounts of neighborhood engagement.
Well, let's deal with that. And you got the right one this morning, especially as a veteran of council procedure, Robert's Rules of Order, who controls the order of the day. My comments had nothing to do with your ability or inability to rebut. I was not controlling the agenda or the issue with the item on the agenda. If you're familiar with council procedure, the order of how the meetings are conducted either by the at-large member or the council member where the subject matter is in their district. That's a simple piece that either at-large member or the councilman who was conducting the matter of the issue controlled the process and how people responded, who spoke, whether there was a rebuttal or not. That had nothing to do with individual comments.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. I think that's very fair.
No, that's not fair. That's right.
Oh, correct. But at the same time, Councilman, we were not asked any follow-up questions, and therefore, as you know from procedure, we were not legally allowed to talk again.
Then you address that to the member or the members who control the order of the day. So it's a little disingenuous for you to say that, or to cast a wide net or an aspersion that you were not allowed, especially referencing my comments, when I would have loved to hear a rebuttal, especially since I voted for the initial project. Maybe that rebuttal could have changed my mind or added more substance to what I thought were some changes that were highlighted by the HDLC. And you see, this is why we can't have emotional discussions and get into who's genuine and who's disingenuous in this town, because it does not help you moving forward. What it actually says is that the important is more important than productivity. So let's go back, Zach, to deal with you when you talked about making a project better. So what was brought before the council, was it 60% better? Was it 70% better? Was it 80% better? And to what degree of better can you determine whether people think it's good enough or not? Look, when you're in business, you put together your product. I mean, and when you have to bring it before bodies, whether it's zoning changes or land use changes, you accept the yay or nay, you hustle to get your votes, but it's really, really kind of hard when you start to question people's motives and their hearts and who's genuine or not, especially given the facts.
Okay. I definitely agree with the point that the word disingenuous did not land the way it was intended. So I will apologize to you directly to say that was not the intent of the way that I used that word. But again, it was the fact that because of how the meeting flowed, we were not able to rebut that. And it was unfortunate that we had a negative vote against us where we were not able to rebut that.
But think about what you put out there. If I wasn't able, especially given my expertise in the process and the fact that I probably have more experience dealing with this stuff than maybe even you or have seen it, right?
You've been doing this longer than I have.
Yeah, not from the technical side. So had I not come on this show to kind of rebut disingenuous comments and talk about the process and who controlled the process, your statements would have been what people who are listening may have thought.
And to be fair,
and-
Councilman,
and-
I was expecting you to be in the chair with me. I
and-
was expecting to have this
no, no,
conversation with you in person.
Well, let me say this. When people are part of my thoughts, a part of my comments, a part of what I do, I always expect them to be there because I expect them to be in my thoughts and how I portray myself and how I deal with issues. So you don't have to be there to be there. And I don't work for WBOK. I'm a guest host. So Will and Nell would ask me to come in sometimes. And when I can, I have a whole nother life now. I'm only there sometimes now in the last couple of years to fill in because most people thought I was pretty good at it. And a lot of the listeners, maybe they kind of like to hear my voice. Or the one thing I know how to do is talk about how the system works so people can say anything, but process, law, policy, governance, those things are real. And one of the other things I'll say is that we have to get to a point where developers and people who have expertise in a certain area, no one should ever shine their halo. There has to be a level of openness, right, where community, politicians, and let me say, Zach Smith is one of the best things that ever happened to this city when you talk about helping people get through the maze of the crowd. I've met with him before. I've challenged safety and permits before. I've challenged the administration before. Let's do it quicker. But I think this conversation is important because we can all do it righter because no one has the answers. It's collectively is the only way we're going to make New Orleans a place for people to do business. And right now, people feel like it's not a place to do business. Why? Because the system doesn't work efficiently, quickly enough. Because developers cast aspersions when they don't get their way. Because community people feel like no one's talking to them enough, and too many advocates take advantage of that. So at some point, maybe this is a lesson in how we do better. Because, Zach, one thing we know, you're good at helping people. I've tried to be that too.
Okay, so here's what I've got. We only have a couple more minutes. OT, I'd like to ask you, now that we are at this point where we are, the Historic Commission said no, City Council said yes, you voiced your clear desire to be on the side of the neighbors with a no vote, and we have this project determined to move forward. Do you see a path forward where this can continue to move forward?
Yes. Look, my initial yes vote was because of my confidence in people like Jack Eddie Jacobs, folk who were dealing with the project. So think about it when you talk about timing, right? As someone who didn't represent that district, no, I didn't have a chance to look at the proposed changes or the challenges the HDLC made or the challenges that were made by the neighborhood. Maybe had I had more time or had there been a collective effort to make sure that everyone had the same information, my vote would have been different that day. I only went with the information I was afforded in the time that I was afforded. It would be great to see this project happen, but it would be great to see a collective effort where mischaracterization isn't made, where words aren't used to disparage, where we don't get into people's hearts, because developers and people watch that also, and they listen to that also. So we can't use our disappointment as a way to send out messages that send mixed messages and the wrong message to future developers and future neighborhoods groups. Because the only way we're going to be successful is for people like Zach and others who are trying to promote economic development is to be seen in the best light, where neighborhoods trust him and developers, where the political entities have trust. No, I'm hoping that the project would happen, and it would happen in a way where everyone at the end of the day stands together and say, you know what, we got to that point where Zach said we needed to be at before, the best possible project, and everybody can judge what degree it is, but that we're comfortable knowing that's in the best interest of that community and the best interest of the city.
Okay, Zach, I'm going to give you the closing word here, and the question to you is, this is where we are. You heard OT's concerns, and I'll venture out to say I think that's still some of the concerns among some of the neighborhood groups. in that area. But you have approval to move forward. Can you provide a list of all of the community things that you all did in the last few years to indicate these are the things that we did? And can you agree to continue to meet or to start meeting with the neighbors as the project moves forward?
So off the top of my head, and I don't have any of my notes in front of me that I didn't come to list out specifics, but I can tell you that we had numerous neighborhood engagement opportunities, both those that were mandatorily required by the city and those that were voluntarily offered by the development team and the design team. Again, what I've told you earlier, and it seems to, have started a little bit more in depth of a conversation, is we have reached out earlier this week to the staff of the HDLC to ask them to review some continuous refinements to the project. I will tell you point blank, there is no promise being made for additional conversations with neighbors at this time. I do not want to give you any BS on that.
Okay.
We want to move forward on, in many ways, making sure that the aesthetic changes by experts of historic preservation have been able to look at things that we've heard them say over the course of the last 2 to 3 years of project. Does that include having voluntary meetings with neighbors? I am not opposed to it, but I will tell you that the same spirit of us going and asking questions would have to be met with folks that are looking to say, hey, we've gotten over the hurdle of just saying no to this project and saying, hey, we have some specific things that we'd like to see changed. And I can tell you where I will leave it, Will and Ashley, is that this project team is fully committed to making any and all changes they can rationally make. But fundamentally, a lot of times our meetings have ended with, we just don't want this project.
Okay. All right. Ashley, a closing thought, and we're going to break.
Yeah, no, it has been an interesting dialogue this morning.
Right.
But hey, I do community and civic engagement all day, every day, and I know how important it is to give people an opportunity to weigh in, and so I do hope that you continue to find ways to engage with the community, and that you guys can find some middle ground.
All right. Well, that's it for this part of the Good Morning Show segment. It's 7:59 a.m. So if you got to be there at 8, roll on to that other side of the bed. I hope your work is just around the corner of the edge of the bed, and you can get to it real quick. Meanwhile, if you're driving somewhere, watch out for the kiddos, and make sure you get where you're going safely, and make sure that they do too. After the break, we're going to be talking to Randall Gaines, the Louisiana Democratic Party chair. And he's got some things to share, including some breaking news. All right, you're listening to WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
Hey everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks
and Kimber White Dupree
from the Front Porch.
Some combos are too good to miss. Now you can pull up a chair to the front porch anytime.
Just search WBOK Media and subscribe to the Front Porch Podcast.
Download, share, and hit us with a 5-star rating because New Orleans culture deserves to be heard loud and clear.
Well, Saints of God, this is Pastor David Impartan Sr. coming to you over the airways of WBOK, your favorite host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want to invite you to our show every Saturday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. That's Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want you to invite your family and friends to a broadcast that's designed to change your life, the way you think, the way you act, and what you eat. We want you to tune in every Saturday at 1 o'clock, WBOK, 1230 a.m. See you on Saturday.
This is The Law and Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton. Comparing the cost of will, successions, and trust.
A will might only be a few $100s, but your family could end up paying more in legal fees.
Trust costs more upfront, but saves time, stress, and potentially thousands.
Think of it as paying a little now to avoid a big bill later. Smart planning means big savings for your family. This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
Transform your bathroom with the beautiful quality of Bath Planet. As a trusted leader in bathroom renovation, Bath Planet has earned the Good Housekeeping seal, a symbol of quality and consumer confidence for over 100 years. Get half off installation or 18 months with no interest and no payments. Whether it's tub replacement, a shower replacement, or a tub-to-shower conversion, Bath Planet makes your custom bath fast, easy, and affordable. Here's how it works. 1. Call to schedule your free, no-obligation consultation. 2. Our design experts come to you with real samples to customize your dream bath. 3. Our certified installers complete the transformation in as little as 1 day. And right now, for a limited time, you can upgrade your bathroom for 50% off installation or choose 18 months with no interest and no payments. But you need to call now. This special offer is only available by calling 800-981-8177. That's 800-981-8177. Call 800-981-8177 right now before the offer ends.
The Ron Kelly Show. Real talk, bold truth. Tune in for your weekly dose of unapologetic conversations that don't dodge the truth or dilute the message. Stay informed on the issues that matter most on The Ron Kelly Show. Every Monday at 7 p.m. on WBOK 1230 a.m.
WBOK New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York City is calling for lifeguard applicants as it battles ongoing shortages since the pandemic. Mayor Zohran Mamdani in a pre-recorded video.
While you might think about lifeguarding as a summer job, we actually start hiring for them in the winter. It's a great way to make a difference in New York City, and we need lifeguards.
Candidates must be at least 16 by July 18th, pass a vision test, and swim 50 yards in 50 seconds. A lawyer for Smokey Robinson is asking a court to sanction one of the women accusing the Motown legend of sexual misconduct, saying she's dodging a deposition. Robinson and his wife deny the allegations, and the attorney wants the plaintiff barred from testifying at any future trial. And WNBA player Rickea Jackson says she's willing to testify against her ex-boyfriend, Falcons player James Pierce Jr. Her attorneys filed notice after Jackson told police he rammed her car multiple times. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm Will Sutton. I'm here with Ashley Shelton.
Good morning.
Well, that drew a little bit of fire, huh?
Yeah. a little spice early in the morning.
Yeah, two passionate dudes.
Yeah.
Who care a lot about the city.
Yep.
And want to see things done the right way.
Mm-hmm.
With some disagreement about what's right on this particular thing.
Yes.
So, but I guess that's democracy. Huh?
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Right?
And as this moves forward, I hope that the community continues to be alert and involved. I mean, I understand it's business.
Yeah.
So involved doesn't mean telling them you'll do this and you'll do that, because that's not how it works.
Right.
You know,
Like,
but,
true.
input, feedback.
Yep.
We noticed that. I think that's all fair game.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So look, it is 8:06 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8:15. You got a little time, and I hope you'll get there safely. Grab all the things you need: your backpack, your glasses, your phone. How about those keys? And if you're like some people I know, you look in the mirror and smile and make sure you got your teeth. So, so if you got your teeth, then you're probably good to go, especially if you're planning on eating mid-morning snack and lunch and afternoon snack. And, of course, well, it's Friday. Look, some of y'all going to work and you're going to be gone by 11:30.
Right. They're looking for that. Looking for that king cake.
Absolutely. All right. Well, look, we've got Randall Gaines in the house.
Yes. Good morning.
Thank you,
Good morning.
the Louisiana Democratic Party Chair. Happy to have you, Mr. Gaines, and WBOK, 12:30 a.m. So y'all been at work, and of course, there are more Democrats in the state of Louisiana than there are Republicans, but y'all got your work cut out for you, because the state does not vote Democratic.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it hasn't for some time. So talk with us a little bit about some of the things that you all have been doing as a party. You have campaigns and candidates, but some of the things that you all been doing as a party. And we'll move into the legislative conversation after that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about how the party's been evolving, the revitalizations that's been going on. We took on a very challenging task. The new administration, the new leadership of the party had to come in and kind of raise the party up out of some very difficult times. And it's certainly been a challenge, but as I told my Democrats and as I told the leadership of the party, I said, look, we're dealing with a political crisis, but it's only a moment. It's not our destiny. Our destiny will be determined by what we do today and tomorrow. And that's exactly the way we've been working. We've done made a lot of changes. One of the main things that I've been advised my leadership and the DSCC member or the Democratic Party members is we have to change what we're doing. We're coming from behind. We have to move from the political arena to the community leadership arena. We want our young leaders to start providing leadership in their communities before they try to run for office. It's sort of a proving ground. It enables them to be able to develop their skills, develop the confidence in themselves and in the community, because they need to start leading in those local areas, running for local seats before they can start encountering challenges to try to change the state or redirect the misdirection of the state. So we've implemented a plan to train our local leaders. We've also changed our messaging to start delivering messages that meet people where they live, as opposed to what we think is important to them. We have to start addressing the things or listening to the things that satisfy their most vital needs. Things that's going to make a difference in their at their doorsteps. We haven't done that. We tried to talk to. Generally, we've talked to our constituents based on what we think they need or what we want to develop. But we have to address what's most important to them, because we think people are voting for us, but they're actually voting for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is Will Sutton and Ashley Shelton. We're talking to Randall Gaines, the chair of the Louisiana Democratic Party. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation with Mr. Gaines, and let's jump into some conversation about what happened. It's getting all this national attention. That seat in District 60. All right. It's 8:11 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8:15. You just might make it, depending on how close you are. Watch out for the babies and the kiddos out there. They are going to school. They need to get there. You can help make that happen by keeping them safe, keeping yourself safe, and watching out for the crazy drivers, because I know that's not you. All right. It's WBOK, 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Friday morning, I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. This morning, the New Orleans Fire Department responded to a fire overnight in New Orleans East. Fire officials say it happened on Spring Lake Drive. An OFD was dispatched to the home at 8:50 last night and were able to get it under control by 10:15. The home suffered severe damage, but firefighters were able to limit the damage done to the two neighboring homes. No injuries were reported. The cause of that fire is currently under investigation. 3 New Orleans teachers are accused of child abuse at a local school. The NOPD says the trio are accused of locking a nonverbal child with autism in a closet at Arthur Ashe School. The teachers now face cruelty to juvenile charges. Police say Monette Anglin, Jania Gord, and Patrice Ankar all surrendered or talked to detectives about surrendering. No other details have been released at this time. All right, everybody, the biggest carnival weekend of the year kicks off today with 5 parades rolling today. A big, big, big day on Friday. The crew of Bosom Buddies rolls at 11:30 a.m. through the French Quarter. Then the crew of Hermes rolls at 5:30 along the Uptown route, followed by crew d'Etat and crew of Morpheus. And in Slidell, the crew of Celine rolls at 6:30. And also, you can't forget about the big Zulu Ball happening later on tonight. The Zulu Coronation Ball, presented by Delta Utilities, airs tonight at 7 on MeTV, New Orleans, and streaming live on Very Local and WDSU.com. WDSU anchor Gina Swanson, along with Elizabeth Kubel, will be live from the ball. MeTV is channel 6.2 over the air, channel 108 for Cox, and 197 on Comcast. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day and a wonderful carnival.
Hoops, Heat, The Truth, on demand. Ball Don't Lie is now live on all podcast platforms. Tap in, search WBOK Media, find Ball Don't Lie, and bring the fire with you wherever you go. Download, share, and leave that 5-star review, because the game doesn't stop when the show ends.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. For those of you all who have been with us since 701, 702, 703, 4, 5, or whenever, and welcome to those of you all who are just tuning in. We've had quite the show up to this point, and had some passion and some fire even.
Yep.
And we got some education on 16. We're going to get some more as we talk to Mr. Randall Gaines, the Louisiana Democratic Party chair. But right now we got a phone call. So let's take that call. Byron, good morning. You're on with Will Sutton, Ashley Shelton, and Randall Gaines. Good morning.
Good morning. How y'all doing, Will and Ashley?
Doing good.
Hello.
That's good. Look, so Mr. Sutton, I spoke with Mama Pam Africa. She is familiar with you. I wanted to let you know that.
Okay.
And she spoke positively. So that gave me more respect for you.
All right, I appreciate it.
So I wanted to say I'm coming in peace this morning. How you doing, Mr. Gaines?
Hey, Byron, how you doing, man? I'm looking forward to talking to you down the road. We were supposed to meet for breakfast, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. Listen, I am growing, and as I get older, I'm getting more refined. So I wanted to really take the time to say one thing, because we don't have time to go back and forth, right? I respect Mr. Gaines, and I speak with him about the health of the party all the time. And I want to say that Mr. Gaines has a very extremely hard task to bring so many different types of people together within that party. And he sometimes is overwhelmed, in my opinion. And this call is not to demean him in any way, but there are different factors of the Democratic Party that are trying to take over the party, one of them being the original Dixiecrat. And so I don't envy Mr. Gaines. And I just wanted to call and say today, Mr. Sutton, that we all need to pay close attention to what's going on in the Democratic Party on the state level meetings. And we all need to be at all of the open meetings, because I saw multiple New Orleans politicians in there that aren't coming back and giving us a proper assessment of what's really happening. And that's an issue from the onset. And I also wanted to say, Will, please, you need to bring Mr. Gaines back when we can talk to him for the whole hour, because there are a lot of things I could bring up now, that struggles that he's facing as a leader, but we don't have time to cover it. So you need to bring him back for a whole hour if he would agree to do that.
No, I appreciate that. I look forward to it, Byron. And that's a very accurate assessment that you made. It's a very tough task to bring all the different factions together, different viewpoints. One of the things I experienced when I took over the party is that people perceive, because the party was vulnerable and had been weakened, that they can shift the party into the direction that they wanted it to go. They wanted the party to go into in line with their personal interests, and I had to curtail that and make sure that we focus and direct the party into an area and to a direction that satisfies the needs of everybody. It has to be the collective objective, and so that was the biggest challenge, to get everybody to work together to share to share the challenges, share the work, share the vision, and work along the lines of the things that are most important to everyone, things we share in common, and that's our job. But I appreciate that.
I had a chance to visit a meeting recently, and I could see the factors. We won't get into that. We don't have enough time right now. But you got to bring him back, Mr. Sutton, because we got some serious things happening on the state level that I see him trying to manage. But he's, like I said, I don't envy the position he's in. And so we need the community to become aware and be able to step in and help him.
I hear you. All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Thanks,
we'll take a look at that. And I'm in pretty regular contact with Mr. Gaines, so we'll see.
So you're going to get him back for us, please?
I'm gonna work to see what we can do with our producer in programming to see what possibilities we might have. So Lord's blessings,
thank you.
Byron. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. We got another caller. Okay. So good morning, Reverend Calhoun. This
Good
is
morning,
Will Sutton, Ashley
ladies
Shelton,
and-
Good
and
morning.
along with Randall Gaines.
Yeah, Mr. Gaines, my question is toward the gentleman that's running for the U.S. Senate, Mr. Davis, that's up around, I think he's from North Louisiana. Has the Democratic Party gave any thought to how to help him? Are they going to help him? Just want to know where we are in support of other candidates that may be running against Senator Cassidy.
Yeah,
I see a lot of advertisement concerning some opponents of Mr. Cassidy, but I hear nothing about what's going on with Mr. Davis. So my question is simple. Is the Democratic Party in support, or they are aware of Mr. Davis' senatorial bid?
Now, you're talking about Jamie Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jamie Davis is a great guy. He's a friend of mine. But nevertheless, we're going to give strong support to all the candidates that are running for the national seats. The party has developed a program called Precinct Captains that allow the individuals who are on the ground in those areas, each parish, to go into the area, engage with the voters, listen to the voters, find out what their needs are, and then address those needs with direct action. So we have that program organized. I also organized something called a candidate task force, a candidate training, a candidate advisory task force. That's going to be a rapid response task force that's going to help those candidates who may not be as well financed as some of the larger candidates or some of those who have already run for major office. So we'll have an in-house staff that can address those needs and address the things that they may feel may be overwhelming in terms of the challenges. So because of their inexperience, so we're developing a bench. We're developing candidates to run for office in the future So this is sort of a proving
So
ground,
is
but
there
we
a
need to make sure that
Democratic
we train
list?
them and give them
Oh,
proper resources. So yeah, we're going to definitely give full support. And one of the most important things that the benefits we have is the idea of building coalitions. We have, which is really helping make a difference for the party, like the Power Coalition and organizations like Vote. They are on the ground every day with proper messaging, really informing the public on what's important, what the issues are, why we as Democrats need to vote.
Well,
go ahead.
here's my question, Mr. Randall. I saw the advertisement for look like all of the Republican candidates. All right, I haven't seen anything that says there is any Democrats running against the U.S. senator. So, is there? Have you guys? You say you're going to help. Have y'all identified people that's willing to run against Mr. Cassidy at this point?
Well, yeah, qualifying ends today, so all the candidates have not fully qualified. We still have candidates qualifying, so we won't make an announcement until qualifying close and we know what our field of candidates are. And actually, we're planning for a press conference. Well, because of the holidays, because of Mardi Gras week, we can't do it until Thursday. But we're planning for the party's going to do a press conference to announce all the candidates and the support.
Well, that's good to hear.
And go over the support we're going to give them.
All right then.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Randall.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Calhoun. Always good to hear from you. Lord's blessings, and I hope you have a great day.
You do the same, gentlemen, and Ms. Ash.
All right. Okay, so we had a legislative race that's been getting a lot of national attention. And talk about what that means for Louisiana Democrats. Certainly a lot of people talking about it elsewhere. But what difference does that make here at home?
It demonstrates the transformation that the party is going through, that the organizations that work in association with the party, in association with the Democratic cause, it demonstrates where we're going in the future. I mean, it was a great race. It was a huge victory. It had a lot of national attention, of course, but it's the springboard. I like to say, once you win a victory, it's not what you do to celebrate the victory, is what you do to sustain the victorious efforts. So we're going to be on the ground working again for every other race coming up. So we're not going to rest on our laurels on this, but we're moving in the right direction. And like I said, I have to give a shout out to Ashley Shelton and to Vote, to all those organizations that really helped with this big, huge victory. But it was challenging. I have to admit, it was very challenging. But we're up to the challenge, and we were able to bring this thing across the line. And like I said, it represents the future of the party and where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, and and I think it's important to say, Power Coalition and Vote, we do not coordinate with the party. We cannot, by law, coordinate with the party. I think what I think was so powerful about this race, actually, too, is that community really came, really engaged in this race. I mean, that kind of turnout, 27% in the special, is really powerful. And so for us, this really is about who are the candidates that care about the people in the communities. And so, and how are we making sure the communities are engaging with those candidates, asking the questions, understanding the power that they have. And so for us, it's not about party, it's more about community and the issues. And so I just say that so that there's no confusion that, at the end of the day, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. And so it doesn't allow us to coordinate.
Right. Absolutely. I understood. All right. So we have just a couple minutes. We're actually on time for break, but before we go to that and move to our next guest, there's some big news that is coming up, and it's my understanding that the Democratic National Committee has never been in Louisiana other than in the person of an elected official or a national party figure or an elected Democratic representative from one place or another. But we got something big coming up in a few weeks. Is that right?
Yes, sir. And it's huge. It says a lot about what the DNC, the National Party, how they feel about Louisiana and the respect they have for Louisiana. They actually contacted me back in July and not only advised that they were going to bring the national meeting here, the spring meeting, which is going to be April 8th through the 12th. But they also said that they're considering New Orleans to be site for the 2028 Democratic National Convention, which would be
Go.
tremendously.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that we show what New Orleans can do. We present a host environment that is reflective of the great city of New Orleans, and hopefully that will encourage them to bring the national convention here in 2028. But the national party is coming here. It's going to bring a lot of national figures, individuals who may want to run for president. So it's really huge. It's huge for the party. It's huge for the state.
All right. Well, that's a big development. DNC coming to New Orleans. We've had other visits, but not a formal business part of the party meeting anywhere in Louisiana, and at least in recent history. And so that's a big deal that they have done that. Of course, the Republican Party had its national convention here in New Orleans in 1988. For those of you who've been around long enough, you might remember a guy called George W. Bush. And that's the convention where he was chosen to run for president and had a successful win. Happened right out of New Orleans.
Yeah.
All right. So great. Good news. Thank you for coming in and talking with us. We'll have to talk about when you might be able to come back and share some more news and information about what's going on with the challenges that Louisiana Democratic Party is facing and any successes that identified. All right, folks, it's 8:28 a.m. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk with David Hammer, investigative reporter at WWL. He did a story that I just couldn't pull away from about the fiscal crisis. And so I watched it again. And I watched it again. So I figured, other people might want to know about this.
Right.
In case they weren't watching WWL and didn't see that report. So we got the man here at WBOK, and that'll be next after the break.
You got
WBOK, 12:30 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today's forecast similar to yesterday, mostly cloudy skies, a little bit of fog out there as well. And then eventually as we get later into the afternoon, we'll start to see some clearing. Highs today, 72 to 76 degrees. We are expecting lows tonight into the 50s, so for parades, things look just fine. For Saturday, there's a chance for a few scattered showers in the afternoon, but the main threat for severe weather happens late Saturday night into very early Sunday. Most of that moves out by Sunday afternoon. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Hey everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks.
And Kimber White Dupree.
From the front porch, y'all. You know how we do. Every Monday is Moving Monday.
And Tuesday is Trivia Tuesday.
And y'all know we have nothing but bad cheering coming through here on Wednesday.
But stick with us. On Thursday, we travel.
That's right. And Friday's Free Your Mind Friday, so get your brass up.
Something on your mind? Want to get it off your chest?
Holla at your people. WBOK 1230 AM, station you listen to.
All day long.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Experience 2 nights of genre-blending music with the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation's Jazz and Heritage Concert Series, presented by Goldfarb Financial, happening at the George and Joyce Wynn Jazz and Heritage Center in New Orleans. See jazz vocalist Ingrid Lucia and the Good Troublemakers on Friday, January 16th at 8 p.m. Then, on Saturday, the 17th at 8 p.m., catch pianist-composer Lawrence Seabrist, Estrella Banda, with special guests Tommy Lowry and Bart Plateau. Expect a thrilling mix of jazz, classical, Afro-Cuban funk, and more. Tickets are $10 and available at jazzandheritage.org.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month from the Community Scientist and Rise St. James. This month's focus is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, formed when fuels like oil, gas, wood, or trash are burned. These chemicals can enter the air we breathe and settle into our soil and water. Many PAHs are known carcinogens, adding to the health burdens faced by communities living near industry. Learn how to protect your health at risestjames.org.
Saturday, February 14th, join WBOK for a special LCMC Health edition of Keeping You Well Cafe. Meet me, Kimber White Dupree, Endymion Saturday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. outside the University Medical Center. I'll be broadcasting live in front of the parade route, and a special team of medical professionals will be stopping by, ready to give you tips to keep you healthy this carnival season. Don't miss this special edition of LCMC Health, Keeping You Well Cafe, and WBOK Broadcasting live on Saturday, February 14th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. LCMC Health tomorrow starts here.
Tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon to What's Growing New Orleans. Hosted by Angel Vanderpool, What's Growing New Orleans is a weekly conversation about developing and growing Black businesses throughout the region. Brought to you by the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. This is Will Sutton, and with me is Ashley Shelton.
Good morning.
And in just a moment, we're going to be in conversation with WWL investigative reporter extraordinaire, David Hammer. And but before that, man, it was good to have the series of conversations that we've had, and to have Mr. Gaines in.
Mm-hmm.
And then the big news that the DNC is coming to New Orleans in April. I realize it's not the convention, but to have an organized part of the party come to Louisiana, the very red Louisiana, I think that says something.
No, it does. It does.
Of course, you know, what's going to happen after they leave? Are they going to do any investing?
Yeah, we definitely need some dollars, okay?
But here's a chance for several days that people can say, we're so happy you're here. Here's our hospitality. And you know.
Exactly.
And you know.
Right,
You
right.
know, so, because everybody makes choices. They make choices.
Yep. Well, they're coming to the bluest dot in the state, so.
Right. Yep. So that'll be good. So let's jump into conversation with David Hammer. First of all, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
And welcome back to WBOK. It's been a little while.
It's been a while, yeah. Thank you for having me, Will and Ashley. I appreciate it. It's been a few years now, so I'm glad to be back.
Well, here you are.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
All right, David, since it's been a little while and people see all your professional good work on television and online, all of that, let's bring in a little bit of who you are. So, who your mama and them, man? Where you come from?
Well, I was actually not born here,
right?
But my family goes back 7 generations in New Orleans. So first came to New Orleans in the 1830s, my family, on my mom's side. And the name changed every generation because it was matrilineal. So, you know, there was a Tolsheimer, there was Hochstein, there are all these names going down, all buried over there at Hebrew Rest in Gentilly.
Mm-hmm.
And a longtime member of Touro Synagogue through the generations. And so my son is the 8th generation New Orleanian. So,
I love it.
we made a little deviation to Chicago there in like 1915 and then came back. So I went to Ben Franklin High School.
Hey.
Yeah.
And so did my son, who's now at the University of Alabama. He's a freshman.
Excellent.
So, we're holding it down here in New Orleans for a long time.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but as I've scanned the news daily and look at certainly what my own company at the Times-Picayune.com is doing, look at what I'm doing, with my colleagues and all, but I do take in news from other sources. I highly suggest all the time on this radio station that people have a diverse news diet. First of all, have a news diet.
Right.
Yeah.
And then have a diverse news diet.
Well, and it's so important, and I actually talked about this recently at the Rotary Club where Norman Robinson is a member, about the problem we're facing in the news industry today, which is, we're trying to tell the truth in almost a post-truth world.
Error. Yeah.
And we're having to break through in forms of media where everything is so democratized, if you want to call it that, where you have, myself, other, reporters presenting on Instagram, TikTok, alongside somebody who doesn't have the same rigors that we do as journalists to try to establish what that truth is. And so you really don't have the separation of traditional media from the new media, and getting that, process through to the news consumer is very, very difficult. And to establish, hey, this is fully vetted, we've spent a lot of time making sure that this is accurate before we put it out there, is becoming harder and harder to break through to the viewer or listener or reader.
Mm-hmm.
All right, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to give you a kudos and pat on your back and high five because I think you're the first journalist in the city to have an extended interview with Mayor Helena Moreno.
Yes.
And I realized that as, I was watching your report, and I'm like, this is not a flyby. I mean, this is, so
I got the
congratulations to
opportunity
you for doing that.
Right.
And
Thank you.
Obviously, she and her team know who you are and what you do. But to land that and to have that type of time, that's good.
Well, and I've been covering her in this city for a very long time. She's been in politics for a long time. She was obviously on WDSU as a news anchor before that. So I've known her for a while, but she also knows that I'm going to be tough but fair in my reporting, and that I'm going to cover everything, and I'm going to challenge her when things, don't add up. And I try to approach every I've covered now 4 mayoral administrations in this city from Nagin to now, and I always try to make sure that the mayors and their staff know that I'm going to treat all of them that same way. So it's yet to be seen. She's only a month into her term,
Right.
and most of our conversation was about trying to get a grasp on what she's facing. Now, a lot of people have asked, and I asked this in the interview, you were on the city council for a long time, and you can't come in here and say, I don't know anything about what's going on. This is all new to me. But her response to that is, we were kept in the dark, even as leaders on the city council, even as the president or vice president of the council, as she was during her term as a at-large council person, that she did not have eyes on all the details that she's discovering now as mayor, with 100 different accounts, with commingled funds, with 1,500 different contracts with vendors that were not clear to everybody, not being presented. I can attest that when you went on the city's contracting website during the Cantrell administration, it had not been updated in over a year by the end of her term. And you would go on there and look at the most recent updates, and it was dating back to late 2024. So that is something that I would give her some leeway on, to say, hey, you got to get a full feel of what you're dealing with from a financial standpoint. And we saw it with the council interacting with the former finance director and her staff under the Cantrell administration, where you had the budget chair, Joe Giarrusso, asking, wait a second, last week you said this week you say that, where's the details on the police overtime and things like that, where it was clear that the council did not have, full access to the information. And it's pretty shocking that when I went through the public records request process and was able to get details about the joint infrastructure program, this $1.7 billion program that's been going since just after Katrina and didn't really get going until the Cantrell administration in terms of spending and all that road work that we deal with as citizens of New Orleans every day, that it was clear that they were not getting all the information, because it wasn't until I got access to the ledgers of each account that we were able to see what the cash flow was, and to find out that they were $100 million plus in the red in that program.
And that's just that one program.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And then you combine that with other issues, and it's cash flow problems that led us to the point where the Cantrell administration announced that they were not going to be able to make payroll in the fall of last year. And then the city council went up to Baton Rouge to the bond commission to borrow money to be able to make payroll. So you don't end up in that situation if you've got a full view of what's going on as a city administration. And that's probably a good explanation for why the council didn't have eyes on all that stuff.
But yeah, and I think, too, like the relationship between the mayor and the city council was pretty bad there.
Strained.
Yeah, very strained towards the end. And so, but I mean, I think too that, that records request also could have been made by anybody on the city council as well.
That's true. And I think that's a very good point. And, that's why I pressed her on that in an interview I did in December.
Right.
And it's hard to understand why it was so difficult for council members to get that information. Like you said, if a journalist like myself is going to be going in and diving in, then it begs the question, why weren't the council members doing the same?
For sure.
So I think what people need to understand, though, about that road program is that it's going to affect everybody going forward now for quite a while. And, if they don't get another extension to spend this money, just to clarify, this is $1.7 billion in federal money that was approved after Katrina to fix the roads and to get under the roads to do the work with the sewer, water, and drainage lines as well. So that had to coordinate with the Sewerage and Water Board, and that was always a very difficult thing. So if the city is not successful in getting another extension past the middle of this year, then we're going to run into the same problem all over again, and that's a big part of the financial struggles that the Moreno administration has got to take on now coming in.
Wow. So let's talk about some of the other things you learned in your conversation with the mayor. But before we do that, in 1, 2, or 3 words, how would you characterize how bad is it with the fiscal crisis in the city?
It's bad because you had a fund balance, and then suddenly, before anybody realized it, you had a huge deficit. They're talking about now a $222 million deficit that they have to work on, and that's what's leading to furloughs, where majority of the city workers are going to have to take a day off, unpaid day off every pay period, and you're going to have limitations in city services. Now, Mayor Moreno is talking about the need to raise the fees for sanitation. And I questioned her about that. Not going to be popular. And her contention is, well, we haven't had a raise, seen a rise in those rates since 2011, $24 for a residential garbage pickup, fee per month, and you've got much higher fees, significantly higher fees in Jefferson Parish with $35, for instance. But the problem is that $24 used to pay for 2 pickups per week.
Yeah.
Now it only pays for 1. And I asked her that, and I said, well, if you're going to be talking about raising the fees, are you going to go back to 2 days a week? And she said she punted basically to the city council. Now, her contention is that she's got this great relationship with the city council, having been working there. Leslie Harris is the new budget chair, and she says she's bringing her in on everything as they're working through this. And her hope is that they're going to have this good working relationship. Well, if that's the case, then she's going to have a big role in deciding whether or not we go back to 2 per week if you increase that rate. So that's going to be a big issue, and where the voters and citizens are going to have quite a lot to say, I would think. So that was a little bit of news coming out of that interview where she's saying, hey, you got to be ready for a raise in rates there. And, that's going to, bring up a lot of questions about what the contracting process is going to be. I mean, I think back to the sanitation contract challenges that we've seen ever since Katrina.
Oh my gosh, it's been endless, the problems around, sanitation.
Exactly. I mean, Stacey Head and Veronica White back in the day going at it in the city council chambers.
Exactly.
It just brings back fond memories.
Yeah. Yep. So what were some of the other things that you talked about with the mayor that our WBOK family of listeners might want to know?
Well, it was pretty interesting. First question out of the box in the interview was, you went through quite a whirlwind, Madam Mayor, in your first few weeks in office, where you get sworn in by former Vice President Kamala Harris, and then a few weeks later, you're in a surprise meeting with President Donald Trump. And it was interesting because it wasn't just that she got FaceTime with Trump. It was that Trump then the next day at his briefing in the Oval Office brought it up and was heaping praise on Helena Moreno. They were talking about ICE and the use of ICE in cities. Minneapolis obviously was top of mind, but he started talking about reductions in crime in places where ICE had been deployed, and he was talking about Washington, D.C., and then he shifted to New Orleans. And his explanation was that he had just met the night before with the mayor of New Orleans, and she was really great. And we played the clip, actually, of his, because it was all on camera and in a press briefing. And he just talked about how she was heaping praise on him for sending down federal and law enforcement and leading to a 50%, he said, reduction in crime in the city. So I asked the mayor about it, and she said, I didn't say any of those things. That, she had a, brief meeting with the president that was arranged by Gail Benson while she was at the Kennedy Center, while Helena Moreno was at the Kennedy Center for another event, and the president was there for the opening of the Melania documentary. And she said, his characterization is just not what happened, that she had mentioned that there was a 50-year low in crime, not a 50% reduction, a 50-year low in crime, and that it had started a few years ago. And that, she wanted to work together as they could on public safety and to continue that trend. And he ended up turning that into that she was crediting essentially the deployment of ICE here for suddenly being able to walk on the streets in New Orleans where you couldn't do that before. And she said, that's totally ridiculous. I walk on the streets all the time. I've never had a problem with that. And so that was interesting because her explanation for, I wanted to take this meeting with the president because I think that it was an opportunity to show him that we're doing good things and to try to get whatever help we can was interesting. And now that is combined with this reporting from NOLA.com. James Finn had the story today that this or I guess it was yesterday, that now there is a change in NOPD policy related to immigration
Front
enforcement.
page, yeah.
So, you know, she told me in the interview, Mayor Moreno told me that they would not ever, her NOPD would not ever sign any kind of commitment or agreement with ICE to do their work, essentially, because immigration enforcement is a civil action.
Right.
And she said that's not the role of the NOPD. It's not their job. But then the very next day, there's this agreement between NOPD and Attorney General Liz Murrill at the state level that they will comply with state law in terms of enforcing ICE detainers. So you could say that the mayor was correct that they won't sign an agreement directly with ICE, but now because of this new state law that was passed in 2025, that makes it essentially a crime to not comply with these ICE detainer requirements. The city of New Orleans NOPD is going to be taking a different posture as far as policy in enforcement. So we'll see how that plays out. You know, if you want to give the mayor the benefit of the doubt, it is that she's saying we're not going to be signing any direct commitments to do their enforcement actions for them. But at the same time, they are changing the policy that would have essentially said we're not going to hold anybody, we're not going to do anything if ICE asks us to. So we'll see how that plays out.
The daily ICE developments.
Yeah.
Here in New Orleans and elsewhere. And of course, the sheriff has got involved in that as well. But we're running out of time, folks. So we're going to have to talk about that next week. Lord willing, I'll be back and with you on Monday morning. Thank you so much, David Hammer, for coming in and sharing some time with us and your wisdom.
Yep, very insightful.
How can people see the story that I viewed 3 times? And how can they see that, and how can they get in touch with you?
Well, the stories are available on WWLTV.com. Also, you can find them on YouTube, the full TV pieces. You can also see my stuff on Instagram at David Hammer WWL, or on TikTok at David Hammer WWL, or on Facebook.
Okay, I love
you got to
it.
do it. That's what I was saying in the beginning.
Right.
You got to meet them where they are. Got to meet the consumers where they are.
Yep.
And you can get in touch with me if you have a tip or an idea. You can email me at dhammer@WWLTV.com.
All right. That's dhammer@WWLTV.com.
And I want to encourage everybody to download our streaming app, WWL Plus, on your TV. It's free, and you can watch all the newscasts that way without having to get the Channel 4 signal over the air, or without having to have cable if you've unplugged. You can get us on streaming on your smart TV and download the app WWL Plus.
Good option.
Yeah.
All right. Look, it's 8:55 a.m. Good conversation with David Hammer and Ashley Shelton. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to be closing out the show and making room for the front porch. Meanwhile, this is WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
New Orleans never sleeps, and neither does WBOK. Now, every voice, every moment, and every show is in your pocket. Search WBOK Media wherever you get podcasts. Download, share, rate us 5 stars. Because when you support us, you amplify Black voices and the New Orleans culture.
The Ron Kelly Show. Real talk, bold truth. Tune in for your weekly dose of unapologetic conversations that don't dodge the truth or dilute the message. Stay informed on the issues that matter most on The Ron Kelly Show, every Monday at 7 p.m. on WBOK 1230 a.m.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton. Losing a loved one is tough enough. Do you really want your family dealing with court battles and paperwork on top of it?
Whether you choose a will or a trust, think ahead, take care of your family. Let them focus on healing instead of headaches. This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and do not have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you do not pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call. If you've been injured in an auto accident, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
This is Andronica Morris, host of Put Housing First. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will discuss how housing affects every aspect of our lives and what's necessary, what's needed to guarantee housing for all. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock as we dig down deep onto the issues that affect all of us.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Good conversation, Ash.
Yeah, we had a good day. We had a good morning.
Oh, man. And you never know who's listening. So we got to call. Let's try to get one more call in before we go.
Right.
Good morning, Ken Jones. You're on with Will Sutton and Ashley Shelton.
Hey, Will. Hey, Ashley.
Hey.
Very, very quickly. The story is this. David's work is really good. If they really want to know what information was, every year there's a single audit that the city has to go through because of the type of recipient of federal funds it is. You can see anything you want in that audit. And being mayor, since we have so little time, I'd have more, but being mayor is different from being on the council. And the council is not the chief executive officer. The council is just that. They go yeah, nay to things, thumbs up, thumbs down to what they're presented. There is so much information available, but when you miss $40 million, which is in the last year's audit, from the actual money you spent on police overtime, I have a hard time understanding that you're telling me I'm just learning. They're two different jobs, so yes, she is learning in that sense, or any mayor is learning, not to be hard on anybody, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a different job. People think it's a promotion. No, it's not a promotion. It's a different job, and let's just see how that happens to work out. Another day, another time, we can talk more about it. Thank you for the time.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Always a pleasure to hear from you with some great knowledge and insights. It is 9 a.m. and we're getting out of here. Ashley, we got to scoot. Make room for the front porch.
Yes.
This is WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.